Hello, welcome back and Happy New Year to everyone. I hope that it's going to be a nice one for everyone who's watching and everyone in general. And so I'm going to be diving right in again as usual. So, what is this? This is a programming language that I'm writing. It's called Seed. It's going to be basis for another language that I'm provisionally calling Ash, which will be a Bash alternative specifically for scripting and shell scripts, where I'm looking to try and keep the ergonomics of Bash but give it maybe more familiar syntax, such as a C style syntax. And what am I writing this in? So the development environment that I'm using here, let me just set up the environment a bit more. And so what's the dev environment that I'm using here? Well, I'm using my usual tools, Mosh, to connect to my development server, so that if I get disconnected for whatever reason, Mosh will continue the connection nicely. Tmux for managing sessions, so that I have all my different development sessions under the one roof. I use Vim for development, and I use ENTR for triggering rebuilds based on file changes. So where am I today? So finishing off yesterday's work, I had gotten to the point where I had implemented list and, indexing of lists and also other types. But some work that I'd left for today, or next session, which is now, was to handle the case where we had so integers in this language are handled as 64-bit integers, but to use indexing, because the language that I'm implementing this in is Rust, we have to do a conversion to an unsigned integer usize. I'm guessing it's a 64-bit index under the hood, or 64-bit integer. So we probably won't have an issue with the conversion in general. However, we're here handling the case of negative indexes, which could happen. And I also want to add in some handling of the case where we try to do a conversion that fails. I don't know how it would fail if we're handling for negative integers above. So I'm not sure how I won't be adding tests for this because I'm not quite sure how to trigger this, but that's what I'll be working on at the moment. So next step is, so I want to add in the new error variance. So that is negative string index. And list index. And I'll also want to add in new failed errors for the conversion. So let's see, I'll put it down here. Out of string bounds, I'll put it above that. So I want to put it in with the failed errors. So eval string index. So we'll go below this. And we'll say convert I64. index to use size failed, and same above, but with string index. And I'll also need, so that error, that's not really, yeah, these aren't really the same kind of wrapping errors as the others, so I'm kind of tempted to put them up here because I'm not going to need those. But I also don't really need or want to define display values for them. Maybe I'll put a new section down here. Bit messy, but I don't really want to spend too long on these. So try into error. How will I get access to that? Standard convert. I don't think that's the error that I need. I think I'll need to import it or get it from the trace somehow, but I'm not actually sure how to do that off the top of my head. So line 76. Yeah, that's not directly importable, and it only has a value when try_int is instantiated, I believe. So I'm actually not sure what to. So there's self error, which will be the try_int error. I guess the specific instance of try_int that I'll be calling will expose an error that I can use. I'll just put something silly in here and see if I can get the type checker to tell me what I need to put in there. Okay, that's okay. Try from int error potentially. Let's see. Let's try from int error. And is it the one from the standard num package? I'm not sure. Let's see. Okay, so that seems to get me where I need to be. And that will... hopefully satisfy the display constraint. That seems like it's working, so I'll go ahead and add some runtime errors. So we'll go negative list index, and we'll go negative string index. Any Clippy issues so far? I think the stream just completely dropped there for a second. Not sure why. Anyway, let's keep going. Clippy is taking a while now. I feel like I don't have as many features yet as I did before, when I was getting this amount of lag in the compilation. Anyway, looks like there are no Clippy errors anyway. So let's restart the testing and check these new tests. Well, they're gonna fail anyway because, well, first of all, I haven't updated the file names that they output, and also the error message. I don't have support for negative numbers yet. I should probably add that. So let's jump down to my scratch pad and add negative integers in there. So for the moment, I'll get around that by using 0 minus 1 to represent minus 1. So the issue here is that I should say string index. Yeah, the CPU seems to be maxing out on this development box at the moment, so that could be a reason as well. Maybe things would be a bit faster if I beefed up the specs a bit, but it should be fine for the moment. So I'll go ahead and commit that. So add okay, so that's the leftover stuff done. The next thing I want to do is add support for negative numbers, and for that I would say I'll just have to update the lexer. So how best to handle this, because it could be the start of a symbol token, which would be sub. Are there any other tokens which yeah, so there's sub and sub equals that could match a minus as well, so I'll need to add in some extra handling. So first I'll need to, let's see, this will be a bit of new code. So first of all, we can have white space followed by ASCII digits. If there isn't white space, then, so if there is white space, it could be, and there then is an ASCII digit, then we parse a number. Actually, that's a tricky one, because maybe we don't handle this at the lexing stage, maybe we handle this at the parsing stage and treat minus as a unary operation. Now that could cause a conflict within Ladderpop. I could imagine that causing an issue. That might be something that I have to research separately, actually. Yeah, I'm not going to handle that right now. I'm going to research that separately, because that could be something that takes a little more research. I guess what I can do is provisionally just take a look at whether that would definitely cause an error at the parsing step. So let's see, where do I put unary operations, in the previous version of the parser. I do it at precedence level 3. I'd say I just put that in there just for the sake of it. I don't know if I had any. Well, so as we go further up, it's the loosest binding, and I think I want a relatively loose binding on bang, on the exclamation mark. Now, do I want it on a general expression? I don't think so. I wonder, could I do something simple like that? Cool. So that, I would say, actually addresses the issue quite well. So that's a parse error, and I think it went between the two of those. Will I add this into the features file? We have support for negative numbers without without putting a 0 before it. No, I don't think I need to do that. In fact, will I even bump it in the cargo file? Yeah, I think I will. Is there anything else? So I need tests, feature file, and feature documentation. Don't need to update anything else, I don't think. So let's see, bump cargo version, readme, documentation, overview, and tests. No, I think we're good. Wow, this compile time is starting to drag. Let me see. I'm going to, oops. and no, so I don't have the time function in there, so I'll use that. Okay, bump this to remind myself as well. There's a file lock on the build directory. Not sure why that is, but that should move along in a moment, I'm sure. So I'm going to be adding support for range indexing. So let's see, that'll go under. What's the difference between range and index range? Oh, okay, range is kind of like an iota. So let's get this down here. Don't think I need anything new in the Lexer, but I need something new in the AST. Do I need boxes around those expressions since they're indirect? Let me see. And that could potentially allow me to put the definition on one line too. Oops. Yeah, I feel like I need to start counting out some of this parser because the build times are a bit hairy. Ooh. Recursive type is infinite size. Like, I thought option gave us some indirection, because you can do a vector of expression. I'm just gonna look that up. Rust option indirection. That's just a general. Understand that I can fix it if I put the person in a box, but why? Yeah, doesn't it work with just the option approach? Okay, box has a fixed pointer size, whereas is that the same for a vector as well? Whereas option is based on the size of the recursive type. Yeah, because vector is an expandable type, so it's carrying its own information about the size of the vector and the vector information itself as well. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. Just a bit of a pity for my purposes anyway. let's see, can I comment out some of these? And not get conflict errors, and also if I'm just running a subset of the tests, will that speed things up? Oh, and the disk has filled up again. I freed up like 2 gigs of that yesterday. Is this to do with swap files? I wonder. So in total that took, can't read that, it looks like the output's getting mangled a bit. But anyway, so index range, yeah, that should be raw expression. Still taking a while. I'm going to take a quick look at disk space. I'll be right back. Okay, we've gotten a bit more space reclaimed, but it's a bit strange that it got taken up again so quickly. Anyway, expected a tuple, found a raw expression. Oh yeah, so that's like these. Oh, and do I have to? Oh, I just have to do that one. Still taking longer than I would like for the compilation. Maybe if I counted out some more code, even though it's not being used, might still be getting processed by Ladderpop. And there's also the case to be made that it's not all Lallerpop's fault, that there's a big chunky part of the project that's just the evaluator and so on. So I need to account for that as well. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. So here we need a new error variant. So we'll go error value not range indexable. And I can get rid, or at least compact this down to list. Oh, I forgot that I could do the Python thing and allow negative list indexes. I won't support that for the moment, but that is a possibility too. I feel like I could simplify this bit of the code. I mean, famous last words, but still. So I'm wanting to get start as a usize. And I feel like that whole thing could be replaced with a map as well. But anyway, let's first comment out the list portion of this and grab get string index range from the old code. So that will need to be changed to an error. I could probably just change it to an option since it's a single error type. none here. Similarly here, we'd do the same thing for end. Add those error types first. So that was val string index failed, and this will be start index failed and end index failed. Can't find type string in this scope, which is a pointer to vec. Yeah, I should be able to. Oh, why isn't it imported there? Oh, no, value, not error. So let's import it like that. Five, 6, 4. Yeah, so I need to convert that to an error if there was one, and that would be an out of bounds error. Start or maybe end is outside the what do I call it? I guess I just call it the range of bounds. Yet either. Casting that is invalid. So I want to, I think, so those are, that's being evaluated to an expression. Oh, start value. Let's try that. make the values a bit more distinct. So I'm getting, forgetting the question marks. How about this? And the compile seems to be a little bit quicker, so simplifying the parse section seems to have helped a little bit anyway. I guess because it's probably not compiling the whole project. I don't know, it probably still is compiling the whole project since it needs to get errors from everywhere. Not sure. So found an option. I think I can do a context here. And it would be if it was none, then it'll, but I think I need to import a snafu option X for it. So that would be index range failed or out of bounds maybe. Out of string bounds. Out of could probably be replaced with outside. More characters but fewer words. Not sure whether that makes a huge difference, but let's see. Yeah, that's not found. Mismatched types. So overall, this doesn't return anything. I could probably do like it does in the previous handler. And yeah, handle it like that. Actually, that's one thing about handling the error there, is that I lose the information about the start and end. So I might want to get that back. So let me just look through the values so far. I'm going to rename that just so, and that just so they come within the 80 character limit. To and maybe I should create a new error down here. Let me think. And it can hold the exact start and end that were attempted. Index out of string bounds. I wonder why. Did it complain about the OK? Yeah, I was thinking that. And I'll probably have to copy those as well, I'd say. And that just says out of string bounds, so maybe I'll do the same, just say range out of string bounds. I slightly prefer calling it range index, but just within the limit. I'll need that for list as well. I don't really want to do this because it's kind of inconsistent. Usually I'll almost always add a context when calling a function. It's slightly different here because I carry the range information. Tricky. Not really, only tricky because I complicate things, but let's see where we are now anyway. I might even separate this into 2 commits potentially. One for string range indexing and one for list. create a helper function at the same time? Just so, because there are a couple of places where I'm converting integers into indexes, into usize indexes. So it could be useful to, whoops, to abstract that. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not using option extension after all. And that will be in bind. Ooh. Do I have to update all of them to be consistent? Should be okay, because eventually I will be converting them to be handled anyway. Like a range index will be something that's bindable in future, so I'll be changing the formatting there at some stage as well. Oops. I'm using it. Oh, index range. Range index or index range seems to be a bit inconsistent. Oh yeah, and that's just warnings for unused stuff because I commented out so much of the code base. That's fine. Has it run the tests? Oh, now it's run the tests and they're all failing. And rightly so. I'm glad they're failing. I'd be a lot more worried if they weren't. So let's get back to an abstraction that I want to make is eval expression to a index. So we'll the expression there. I'll just always call it index, even though in the case of an index expression here, it's useful to distinguish between the start index and the end index. Anyway, I'll keep pushing on with what I have. Copy some of the code from up here. Those done, that should be it for the abstraction. Oh, and I want to rename that, or even do that. And so I want to do let I is equal to val expression to index context scopes location. Same up here for string index. Yeah, I'd say I can do that. Oh, that's just the wrong value in there. Location error. What's the problem there? Oh, because it should be error. Oh, I've got this. Got inconsistent naming around the place with that, so. that's only used once, but yeah, I think I'll leave the way it is. 146, what's the issue? Convert index to usize failed. Change a bunch of those. Cool, that seems to be compiling at least. Do I want to change anything else in the meantime? I suppose I'll update these calls to use the new index function as well. Still not enough to fit it on the line. But anyway. And it's already a use size now, so I can remove those. Cool. So let's see. Yeah. All tests are failing. That's fine. Get string index range. I'll put that after that one. And I'll add context. Get string index range field. And with that, I'll be leaving it in a work in progress state, but I'll have partially added support for string retrieval. I added negative integers earlier. So I'm going to leave it there. I need to add unwrappers for the errors so that they get removed from error messages in main. Though, is that actually all that's left for getting string evaluation finished? I think it might be. So I'm going to add that to my Scratch file. So unwrap new updated failed errors in main. And I also want to verify consistency of range index or index range terminology in the newly added code. And if I get that added, then that would be range indexing done. Cool. So I've added a little bit of new functionality today. Didn't quite get the range indexing done, but added a bit of abstraction, which is nice, and that will get reused in some of the code that I added previously. And I'll potentially be more consistent with the terminology around range indexing. So that'll be nice too. Nice to get things consistent, I feel. So yeah, I think that's more or less it for today. Thanks to everyone for checking it out, and see you again.